Why position prints money pre-flop? In online poker games, position is the closest thing we have to a legal cheat code. It is not about feeling comfortable or seeing what happens. It is about converting information into expected value, hand after hand, while everyone else pays rake and guesses. Pre-flop is where you choose the battlefield. If you choose to enter pots out of position with weak ranges, you are signing up to make more decisions with less information. That is exactly how small leaks turn into big red numbers. What position really means. Position is simply who acts last post-flop. On the button, you will act last on every post-flop street. In the big blind, you will act first on every post-flop street. That difference is not cosmetic. Acting last means you get the final say on pot size, you realize more equity, and you force your opponent to show strength before you commit more money. Pre-flop. Position is also about who is left to act. If there are aggressive players behind you, you cannot open the same trash you would open when the table behind you is tight. Context dictates strategy. The hierarchy of seats. At a standard online 6-max table, here is the practical hierarchy for profitability and ease of play. First, button. You play the most hands and realize the most expected value. Because you are in position versus everyone except the blinds pre-flop. Second, cutoff. Still strong, but the button can punish wide opens with 3 bets, so your range tightens slightly. Third, hijack. Solid but more pressure behind, you need more real hand quality and less maybe. Fourth, under the gun. Tightest opens because you invite multi-way pots and get squeezed more. Fifth, small blind. The hardest seat. You are out of position, you post money, and you face a player closing the action pre-flop. Sixth, big blind. You defend wide because of price, but you are out of position post-flop. So your edge comes from correct defense, not fantasy hands. You should feel this in your ranges. A hand like King 9 suited might be a fine button open on many online sites. That same hand is often a leak from under the gun, because you will get called or 3-bet by players with strong, well-structured ranges, and you will play a bloated pot out of position too often. Why position matters, expected value addition. I want you thinking in expected value, not in slogans. Position matters because it changes 3 concrete expected value drivers. 1. Information advantage. When you act last, you see checks and bet sizes before deciding. That lets you choose high expected value actions more often. It also means you make fewer mistakes, and in poker, avoiding mistakes is a huge part of winning. 2. Equity realization. Your hand has raw equity, but you only get paid on realized equity. In position, you get to take free cards when it benefits you, control pot size with medium strength hands, and apply pressure when ranges are capped. Out of position, you are forced to guess more, fold more equity, and pay off more when you are wrong. 3. Pot control and leverage. In position, you can size bets to keep dominated hands in or to fold out equity when bluffing. Out of position, you often face the choice between checking and letting them realize, or betting and risking getting raised. Your options are narrower, so your opponent's strategy becomes easier. Now layer in online reality. When multi-tabling, decisions must be fast and repeatable. Position gives you cleaner heuristics, fewer complex branches, and fewer time pressure errors. Also, rake matters. Playing marginal spots out of position at small and mid stakes gets punished harder because the rake eats thin edges. You do not need to blame rake for everything, but you must respect how it compresses expected value in close situations. Pre-flop ranges are position-based for a reason. Your pre-flop opening ranges are not hand charts. They are profit scripts based on seat, who can 3-bet you, and who will call. The earlier your position, the more you need hands that can handle pressure and make strong pairs and strong draws. Late position is where you get to weaponize weaker hands because you will see more flops in position, steal blinds, and win pots with 1 bet when opponents miss. That is not recklessness, it is math. Your steals need to work a certain percentage to be immediately profitable, and position increases both fold equity and post-flop expected value when called. Here's the coaching point. Stop treating "I have a suited hand" as a reason. Suited does not mean profitable. A dominated suited hand out of position is still a dominated hand, and domination is where win rates go to die. Calling preflop, position makes or breaks it. A lot of players torch money by calling because they hate folding. Calls are not neutral. A call is a decision to play a pot with a capped range, often without initiative. In position, calling can be great. You can float, you can realize backdoor equity, you can take pots away when they slow down. Out of position, the same call turns into you checking, facing c-bets, and bleeding equity because you cannot comfortably continue. This is why I despise hope poker. If your plan is call and maybe flop something, you are not building expected value. You are paying rake to gamble. Passive set mining with small pairs, especially when stacks are not truly deep and opponents are not paying off, is one of the cleanest ways to lock in a losing strategy. Who is left to act, the hidden form of position? Most players only think about button versus blinds. In real online pools, the bigger edge comes from understanding relative position preflop. Ask yourself this before you enter any pot. First, who can 3-bet me? Second, who will cold call and drag the pot multi-way? Third, who is a squeeze-happy regular? Fourth, who is a recreational who will overcall too wide? If there is an aggressive player on the button and you are in the hijack, your opening range needs to be tighter and more resilient. If the button is a tight knit and the blinds overfold, you can open wider. Same cards, different table, different expected value. Hand scenario, button pressure cooker. Game, online, 6 max cash, 100 big blinds effective. Hero is on the button. Hero hand, King of Hearts, Queen of Spades. Preflop, folds to hero. Hero raises to 2.3 big blinds. Big blind calls. Flop, Queen of Diamonds, 7 of Clubs, 3 of Spades. Action, big blind checks. Hero bets 1.5 big blinds into 4.9 big blinds. Big blind folds. This is position printing money in its simplest form. You open wide because you are on the button, not because king-queen offsuit is premium. On the flop you have top pair, but the real win is how clean the decision is. Big blind checks, you bet a small size that attacks their range, and you collect the pot without letting random overcards realize equity. Flip the positions and watch what happens. If you open from the small blind and big blind calls, you are out of position on every street. Now you check, they can stab, they can float, and your life gets harder with the same exact hand. Relative strength is everything, and position is what lets you convert it. Practical rules you can apply today. When you are studying and when you are playing, keep these rules tight. They will save you buy-ins. First, open wider late, tighten up early. Late position gets to carry the weaker but playable region of your range. Second, call more in position. 3-bet or fold more out of position. Flatting out of position is the fastest way to get stuck with a capped range and no initiative. Third, steal more when the blinds overfold. Many online pools still defend too tight in the blinds, especially versus small sizing. Fourth, respect strong players behind. If a thinking regular is on your left, your marginal opens lose expected value fast. Fifth, stop paying rake to chase. If your only reason to continue is, it is suited, or maybe I hit a set, you are donating. Key takeaway. Position is not a preference. It is an expected value multiplier. Acting last gives you more information, higher equity realization, and better leverage, which is why your pre-flop ranges must widen late and tighten early. In online poker, where rake and multi-tabling punish thin edges, prioritize playing more pots in position, avoid passive out-of-position calls, and always think about who is left to act before you enter. Now, let's test your edge. Question 1. In this article, what is the simple definition of position? Answer: position is who acts last post-flop. Explanation: the article defines position as acting order after the flop, with the button acting last and the big blind acting first on post-flop streets. Question 2. What 3 concrete expected value drivers does the article say position changes? Answer: information advantage, equity realization, and pot control and leverage. Explanation. The article lists these three factors as the specific reasons position matters in expected value terms, not just as a slogan. Question 3. How does the article describe pre-flop opening ranges, as hand charts or as something else? Answer. Profit scripts based on seat, who can 3-bet you, and who will call. Explanation. It emphasizes that ranges are built around position and opponents left to act, not just the cards in your hand. Question 4. According to the practical rules you can apply today, what is the recommended approach to flat calling out a position? Answer. Call more in position, out of position, 3-bet or fold more, and avoid flatting. Explanation. The article says flatting out of position quickly leaves you with a capped range and no initiative, creating difficult, low expected value post-flop spots. Question 5. In the button pressure cooker scenario, what flop bet size does hero use after big blind checks? Answer. 1.5 big blinds into 4.9 big blinds. Explanation. The example highlights how position creates clean, repeatable decisions. Big blind checks, hero uses a small bet and wins the pot immediately. Study hard, play smart. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next lesson.